All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I just got done with the previous part one. We are going to start up on the part two. I'm uploading the part one right now. I'm going to take a nice drink of water. If you always wonder why I tend to start my videos without drinking water, like why the hell don't I start my videos before drinking water? I like to pretend that I'm sitting here and I'm just having like a Discord chat with you guys, and you guys are basically just sitting there listening to me blather away for God knows how long, right? And just being able to be like, pause early on the video, take my sweet time in my intro, and get chill and get a drink of water really helps me out, I guess. Hmm. I could have said that better and a bit more manly, but whatever. I don't give a shit. Um, all right, let's do this thing. If you don't know, I'm ex-Navy. Believe it or not, I used to be a sonar technician, AN SQ-89 operator, USS Shoop DDG-86. I married a Hong Kong girl. I currently live in China. What else is there to say? I'm originally from Alaska, Alaska of all places. Yes, I do have stories about running away from a bear at least once. I do have stories with wolves. That was fun. The moose are by far the most dangerous. All right, let's keep it moving. So, I ended the last video basically saying we're going to talk about rating and stuff. I didn't get a chance to come down the I didn't get a chance to go down the other trees to talk about their abilities. That suddenly dawns on me, so I guess we'll do that. I only talked about the prot tree abilities, and then we got hung up on Reckoning for a million years. Because I think I went off into a PvP tangent, but I don't know if I went off into a PvP tangent because I don't know how these damn instant whites that Drakova talks about works. Maybe it's a PvE thing. Maybe it's not a PvE thing. Maybe it's good for leveling. I don't fucking know. Blah, blah, but we'll just continue here. So let's keep it moving in the Paladin tree, or the Holy Tree. Divine Intellect, 5 out of 5. You can take this on any and all Paladins. Even in PvP, you can take that on any and all Paladins. Spiritual Focus, 5 out of 5. The fuck is wrong with you? Stay the fuck away from Improved Seal of Righteousness. This thing is dog shit. Okay? Absolute. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200 levels of dog shit. Why? It only applies the Seal of Righteousness, the 15% bonus damage, to the base damage of Seal of Righteousness. It does not apply it to any of the spell power ratio behind Seal of Righteousness. When I am done with this video, the next video is going to be me sitting in game just like this, opening my damn spell book and pretending I'm doing a really shitty version of a Cargo's video and going through every fucking spell in my spell book, talking about at horrifying length about what's going on behind what and where. All you need to know about Seal of Righteousness for now is Seal of Righteousness rank 3 has 18 and 2/3 spell power ratio per hit, regardless of weapon speed. Whereas every other rank of Seal of Righteousness has 13% or 10% or less. That's all you need to know. Use Seal of Righteousness rank 3, use Seal of Righteousness rank 3, use Seal of Righteousness rank 3. The problem with that is Seal of Righteousness rank 3 has... That's for one-handers. For two-handers, it does 20% damage. Whatever. The problem with improved Seal of Righteousness is that Seal of Righteousness rank 3, with like the best weapon that you can possibly use on it, which is like the 1.5 speed weapons, like your flurry axes and so forth and so on, it only does 6 base damage. Let's get rid of that. We don't want that. It only does 6 base damage. Holy crap. Am I lagging? Or did people just kill everything here? Yeah, I killed everything. Okay. It only does 6 base damage. So that would only be increased by like 5% or 15%. The skill is absolutely fucking useless. So you'll see here, for example, I've got 3 points in it just to test it for shits and giggles. I actually respec just so I could show you a bunch of stuff and test a bunch of stuff. I got Holy Shock and Command basically right now. This is a build. We haven't gotten into builds yet. PvE and PvP. I'll probably try to get. I'll probably end the video with the various level 60 builds that paladins can use. This is one of them. But yeah, we're just going to show Seal of Righteousness real fast here. So I'm going to walk up Seal of Righteousness. Okay, so we're going to do Seal of Righteousness rank 8 real fast here, okay? So you see it's 52. It's 52 because One Hand Seal of Righteousness rank 3 has a whopping, damn it. I really don't want to get it into the seals right now. We'll do the seals later. Here's rank 3. Oh, look, it's like 59. Oh, that's weird. Huh, I wonder why that is. And then you put things like an extra 200 spell power from Crusader on it. And the next thing you know, so now we're at 500 spell power. 96? What the fuck? And then you're like, okay, max rank seal by comparison. 72? What do you mean rank 3 is better than that? Blah, 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 blah. Rank 3, rank 3, rank 3. Okay, cool. Are we good with that? All right, I'll go into horrifying detail about that later. But for right now, that talent point, absolutely useless. Stay away from it. Okay, terrible, terrible, terrible. Stay away. Consecration, absolutely necessary. Next best thing is probably your Holy Light. You're going to be using that more than anything. Then Unyielding Faith is not the worst thing in the world. Improved Lay on Hands isn't all that important. Not the best thing in the world. Unyielding Faith while you're leveling will probably save you more than Improved Lay on Hands. But either one is fine. 5 out of 5 Illumination, absolutely amazing. Usually you don't go this deep into this tree. Usually you come down here, you pick up Consecration, and then you're all in on the Prot tree. That's while leveling. But now we're kind of getting into, we're talking about the talents while leveling. I'm telling myself this, not you guys. Talking about the talents while leveling, and then we'll get into the raid builds. So right now I'm just going through the talents. Okay, cool. So this, absolutely amazing, especially good in PvP. Illumination, absolutely amazing if you need it. Divine Fervor does what it says in the tin. Absolutely fucking awesome. Don't get me fucking started on this. Okay, we're not going to talk about that yet. Not going to talk about that yet. Not going to talk about that yet. Okay. Holy Power. It's okay. Holy Shock is complete shit. It's got a 30-second cooldown. It doesn't heal for anything more than a Flash of Light does, like spell power ratios. Like that's my Holy Shock at like 500. And then here's a max rank Flash of Light. Both of them are going to put me on GCDs. When I'm wearing a bunch of plus healing gear, it's kind of all the same. So it's basically just an instant Flash of Light on a 30-second cooldown. Use that as you like. It's much better in PvP than I think it is in PvE. If you're trying to parse, then it's good, I guess. But other than that, Holy Shock is actually a gigantic piece of shit in PvE, believe it or not. But people take it. Go ahead and take it. I won't stop you. Your only other option besides Holy Shock, if you don't take Holy Shock, if I recall correctly, you can get Sanctuary. And that tends to be your, we don't want that. We want the 5 out of 5. I don't know why I'm doing this religiously like it matters. Yeah, you can get Blessing of Sanctuary. Like, those are kind of your options. Either you have Blessing of Sanctuary and no Holy Shock, or you have Holy Shock and no Blessing of Sanctuary. Both have their pros and cons. Most seasoned Paladins, PvE Paladins, will tell you, like if you're on a PvE server, get the Blessing of Sanctuary. To hell with Holy Shock. Holy Shock is a piece of shit. Okay? If you're on PvP servers, though, yeah, shit changes a little bit. But definitely Blessing Sanctuary, definitely better. Okay. Nothing to say about Holy Shock other than it sucks. We already talked about Sanctuary and all that stuff. Let's go down the Ret talent tree here. Improved Blessing of Might, dog shit. Benediction, absolutely amazing. You're using your seals all the time. They get kind of expensive. It's even really good for AoE tanking. I kind of talked about this already in the previous video. Improved Judgment, PvE, dog shit. PvP, amazing. Improved Seal of the Crusader. This is actually really, really good. If you're doing the Stamina Intellect Paladin build, single target. This is really, really good, but it doesn't actually have, it doesn't fit anywhere. Like, this is an amazing talent if you know what you're doing with it, but it doesn't fit anywhere. And it comes at the cost of parry, which is absolutely amazing, which forces us to talk about parry haste. All right, so what the fuck is parry haste? You probably heard this term before. Drink of water. I'm going to be here a while. Trying to pace myself for like 3-hour conversation here, so I can get all these videos loaded up today. Parry haste. When you or somebody else parries an attack, the remaining cooldown of their weapon is reduced by, I do believe it's 40%. Okay? So if you had a 100 swing speed weapon and the enemy attacked you and you parried, the swing timer on your 100 seconds swing time weapon, if it was at 100 seconds left to go, would suddenly be 60 seconds left on your swing timer. I do not know if multiple parries compound this, but I do know that that's what parry haste is. If you successfully parry an attack, or if the enemy successfully parries an attack, the remaining cooldown on their swing timer is reduced by 40%. This is a massive defense and a massive offensive buff, especially for slower two-handed weapons. Again, I do not advise you to use slow two-handed weapons on hardcore. But if you're doing non-hardcore, by all means. If you just want to go have fun and tell me to go fuck myself, by all means. Deflection is absolutely fucking amazing. Absolutely amazing for two-handed paladins. For one-handed paladins, it's still fucking amazing because you're walking your dick into like 5 mobs at a time. Having deflection is kind of nice. You'll get a lot of extra attacks out of it. It'll almost it's almost as good as Reckoning with what it does for you for the AoE farming. Absolutely amazing. If you can pick it up, definitely pick it up. Pursuit of Justice, super good early game. Dog shit late game when you have access to movement speed enchants. Movement speed enchant to your boots is also plus 8 movement speed, so all you gain here is the mounted movement speed bonus. And you only and bonus stamina. That's more of a PvP thing though. So these talent points are basically worth like 4 stamina each. These talent points are dog shit, but while you're leveling, pretty good stuff. Take your time, Pally time. Come on, relax. Hopefully that didn't sound. Damn it. All right. Bonus crit, amazing. Seal of Command, pretty good. Not awesome, not great. When I get to the spells, we'll talk about Seal of Command. Vindication, I have no idea. While you're leveling, probably not the best thing in the world. We got to put points into something. Eye for an Eye while you're leveling, just forget about it. Definitely improved. Retribution Aura is amazing. This is all very obvious stuff, I hope. Two-handed weapon specialization does all the weird shit that one-handed weapon specialization does that I talked about before. So it's not your white damage. It's all kinds of damage is increased by 6% while you are wielding a two-handed weapon. So it's like your judgment goes up 6%. Your seal of command, seal of righteousness goes up by 6%. All kinds of crap goes up by 6%. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Blessing of Sanctuary comes at the expense of Ret Aura. It's actually kind of crappy. It's good and it's crap. It's good and it's crap. It's good and it's crap. I don't know what to tell you. It's kind of a waste of a talent point in the grand scheme of things. There are other better talent points to put your points into around here. Even one in Judgment. I don't know what to do. So by this time you're respecking anyways. So it's like, what the hell are we doing here? Vengeance is pretty good, and Repent is pretty good. For PvE purposes, really good, blah, 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 rating, yada, yada, yada. Okay, we're basically done with this talent tree for leveling purposes. Okay, let's talk about rating. Let's talk about specs. Paladin specs, more specifically. Okay, cool. Here's your first spec while you're rating. LOH is not the worst thing in the world. Resist Fear is far more important, though. God help us. I might have to talk about Lasting Judgment. Ooh. What are we putting our points in here, Pally time? I don't know. We're just kind of putting points randomly at this point. shield block. No, kind of want armor. Armor's good. Even while leveling, or even while doing your thing, armor's good. Do I want improved concentration aura? Not a lot of things silence or interrupt you while you're doing in raids, honestly. I might want to go back into the holy tree. Pick up holy shock while we're at it. No, we want to be smart and keep going down this tree. So I'll probably get the stun just for quality of life. So a lot of your talent points are split between what you need for raid and then just quality of life talents for you personally, if that makes any sense. So Blessing of Kings is a raid talent usually pick up. You get this stuff for quality of life. I need to start stripping points out of here to try to get down to Blessing of Sanctuary. What the hell are we putting our points into? This might seem like I don't know what I'm doing, but honestly, there's just a lot of free points floating around in the two different kinds of healing paladin raid builds. One sec, let me cough. Damn it. Water. A lot of free talent points. So Blessing of Sanctuary is not really good for raid, but usually a raid will want to take at least one Blessing of Sanctuary Paladin, which is important. And usually the Blessing of Sanctuary Paladin will also end up being the Lasting Judgment Paladin. You want at least one Lasting Judgment Paladin in your raid. You want at least one Blessing of Sanctuary Paladin in your raid. They will usually double up. Kings is more for everybody else and not really for you. Blessing of Sanctuary over Holy Shock is a quality of life choice. It's also a raid choice, technically. But basically, it lets you get your AoE farming good and proper outside of raid at the expense of Holy Shock inside the raid. Okay. Jesus. Do I want to go into the million-year talk about Lasting Judgment yet? Ooh, or do I want to talk about Flash of Light? Do I want to save Flash of Light for... No, we need to talk about it right now, don't we? All right, let me show you guys something about Flash of Light. Okay. Do I have my Flash of Lights on my bar? No, I do not. I've made this video a million times before, but this is everything. This is the Everything Paladin series. Talk about every fucking thing Paladin. Jesus Christ. I'm going to go to my grave talking about this stuff. Damn you, cargoes. Okay, so I want you to watch my rank 1 Flash of Light here. Let's get it on the bar. Yeah. We'll just put it on the bar. Let's get rid of Exorcism for now. We'll just put it on the bar. Okay, cool. So you'll notice that on the tooltip it says 35 mana heals for, 75 to 87. All right, watch this. Okay, why is it healing for like 200 plus? What the hell is going on? Rank 1 Flash of Light has the exact same spell power ratio behind it as your max rank Flash of Light. And from there, it gets even dumber. Because you'll put on stuff like Blessing of Light. Blessing of Light says, receives an extra 400 healing. Holy Light's an extra 115 healing to Flash of Light, right? Those numbers apply if the spell was... Basically, spells that you train level 20 or above have the same spell power ratio behind them as your max rank spells. And it just so happens that rank 1 Flash of Light is trained exactly at level 20. So it has the same spell power ratio behind it as your max rank Flash of Light, and it gains the exact same amount of bonus from it as Blessing of Light. So we're going to see our rank 1 Flash of Light literally go up exactly plus 115 healing. So at this point, I'm not even in plus healing gear. My rank 1 Flash of Lights with Blessing of Light up are healing for a ridiculous amount, considering that's 35 mana. When you have your plus healing gear actually on, and I don't want to log out. What are we doing? When you actually have your plus healing gear on, I can go to my channel. Is it still doing the thing? Uh-oh. Channel. Videos? I really don't want to mess up the upload. I might not mess with that. I might just tell you guys what the hell is going on. Yeah, it's me standing here. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Talking about the Flash of Lights. So yeah, you can see me doing it right here. So this is rank 1 that we're doing right now. So when you're in full healing gear, Your rank 1 Flash of Lights will heal for about 600, and your max ranks will heal for about 900. So it's about 2/3. By the time you're all the way in like Nax gear, which is like endgame stuff, I think the number changes to it being about 70%. This is going to be a max rank. Yeah, so you can see the difference. All right, cool. Are we on the same page here? Rank 1s, max rank, rank 1s, max ranks. I'm alternating now in this video. What this basically means is there are 2 types of Paladin builds. One Paladin builds so that he has nothing but plus healing gear, and then a bunch of MP5 is what he's really after. Really, he's after the plus healing, and they just spam rank 1 Flash of Lights into Oblivion, and they use Holy Light in case of emergencies, right? They're the Paladin that is designed to never go so that you always have a healer for big dick heals when the situation goes to hell in a handbasket, right? Or the tank desperately needs big boy heals. He needs big boy heals right now. Everybody else is kind of and low on mana. They're like barely pumping out any real healing anymore. You're still sitting there at 80% fucking mana bar, and you're like, hold my beer, I got this. And you just spam max rank Holy Lights into the tank. Get him fully topped off. That is your job. Your job is to sit there with 80% of your mana in reserve using rank 1 Flash of Light. And that is basically what this build is designed to do. The other build, basically it just sacrifices, it picks up Holy Shock. It doesn't go Blessing of Sanctuary. It might not even come down here, and it'll get as much crit as possible. It's a difference in the gearing. It also won't put points into Lasting Judgment typically, so they'll strip those out of there, right? But primarily, it's a difference in gearing for the Paladin, where rather than going, we feed them the chance on spell crit gear. And so then they end up being, rather than spamming rank 1s, they spam max ranks into Oblivion. And they use a lot of spell crit and illumination to keep their mana high. They do the thing that They do the thing that everyone talks about, right? And these guys are usually your parsers. And the reason for this is because the rank 1s obviously can't parse very well at all because they've already accepted that they're going to do less healing than normal. And illumination and the critical stuff can overperform in a fight, which will give you really good parses. So usually paladins will split up in a raid. We'll talk about who's after what, whose goals are what, who's doing what, and whoever's goal it is to parse, we will feed them all the best gear as quickly as possible so they can get their parsing on. That's what they want to do. That's how they have fun. They will get the crit gear. They will do the max rank spam thing, and they will go and then when they're they will when they have like 5% mana left and they've got like 30 seconds left on their next major mana potion, they spam rank 1 Flashes of Light. Then the next major mana potion kicks in, and they're right back to max ranks again, and that's how they parse. Okay, it's not their job to sit in reserve with a ton of mana bar. The people who do not care about parsing, it becomes your job to do the rank 1 thing and to sit in reserve with the massive mana bar. And while you're at it, since you're in reserve, you might as well take a Blessing of Sanctuary for quality of life purposes, right? So that's the primary difference between the build and how they work. The other one also tends to take Lasting Judgment. 2 points in Lasting Judgment is fine. 3 out of 3 is even better. And now we're going to go into the Lasting Judgment conversation, which is probably going to take 20 minutes and a hell of a lot of time of the rest of this video. All right, so why is Lasting Judgment, the build you're looking at here, absolutely ridiculous? I'm actually going to pause the video, and I'm going to go take a bio break. I'll be right back. Yeah, drinking all this water, that stuff was bound to happen eventually. All right, so why is this the most powerful talent that you can possibly take in PvE for Paladin? Boop, boop, boop. Why do I believe it is anyways? Because this talent does all kinds of things that will cause your raid to love you so much, they'll pretty much give you whatever fucking gear you want. I am not joking. It also allows you to underperform like a motherfucker, and the guild will still love you so much that they'll give you whatever the pretty much whatever the hell gear you want. At least this has definitely been my experience in the matter, and I'll go into great detail as to why. So lasting judgment usually isn't taken because you can see that the talent points here are really painful. You really want other things besides lasting judgment. So usually what'll happen is the paladins will be like, I really want, improved blessing of wisdom, 2 out of 2. I'm not going to lasting judgment anything. The problem with lasting judgment is that you can't lasting judge and parse at the same time. Ugh. Come on. You can't lasting judgment things and parse at the same time. Because the healing from Seal of Light and stuff that you're putting on the bosses and the mobs and stuff don't get counted towards your parse. And it's a waste of a GCD that could have gone. You're giving up your parse by being the lasting judgment paladin. It gets worse because there's a lot of fights where you have to run up to the boss, put lasting judgment on them, and then run back away to safety. Fire Maw comes to mind, and stuff like that. So, yeah, you're basically saying, I'm not going to parse. Lasting Judgment also doesn't have any real purpose outside of raid. If from in a PvE perspective. From a PvP perspective, Lasting Judgment is God tier even in PvP. But the better and better I get at PvP, the less and less I actually use Lasting Judgment on things, and I'm just using Seal the Crusader and a bunch of other things. So even as I get better and better, it's getting worse and worse, but it still has some serious PvP potential. But anyways, this is not PvE talk, PvP talk. This is PvE stuff. So I'll avoid that. Okay, so why does it make your raid love you? Okay, I'll give you some scenarios. So, how do I want to talk about this? I think I just go directly and get right into it. Okay, so it makes the raid love you in different ways. So, if you're the guy sacrificing your parse to put to keep Seal of Wisdom up on the boss at all times, anybody with a mana bar in that raid is going to love you to death. With the sole exception of the Paladin, who have no ranged ability, and when they're they just stand there and they cast rank 1 flashes of light. Just about everybody else in their dog starts wanding when they're low mana, they just you get so much mana back from attacking the boss when Seal of Wisdom is on the boss at all times, that it is absolutely essential for anybody else in the raid who wants to parse. And it just saves so much gold for the raid in general, because they're not having to use major mana potions all over the place. They can get away with superior mana potions or no mana potions at all. You are super loved by anybody and everybody with a mana bar who can attack the boss. So that means no paladins, but you're also loved by the paladins because you're basically you're the hand-me-down gear paladin. You're also the paladin that says, yeah, I don't really care about my parse, so feel free to get all the best gear that you want for the parsing and just give me all the hand-me-downs. So all the other paladins love you anyways. So you are beloved by anybody and everybody with a mana bar. Now, how you end up getting loved by anybody and everybody without a mana bar basically works something like this. While you're killing ads on the way to the bosses, you don't judge wisdom on the ads, you judge light on the ads. And this is for a number of reasons. The first reason is that nobody's parsing, nobody cares about the mana things. People can drink whenever they want to for the ads. It's not a mana issue. Like, you're not pissing off the mana users by not having wisdom on the boss or the ads while you're, on your way to the boss. You are potentially pissing off the melee classes, though, because they're like, we could have another debuff and be doing more damage. rather than Judgment of Light on this damn thing. Why is Light on this damn thing? It uses up a debuff slot. We could make this MC or this Blackwing Lair run like 5 seconds faster or something like that if we were using a different buff. What the hell are we doing? Blah, 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 blah. Until shit goes south. So I'll describe scenarios I've seen way too often that me and my guild used to laugh about whenever they would happen, right? Used to be like a guild event. And with high DPSers, every once in a blue moon, like your Fury Warriors and your Rogues, every once in a blue moon, and all their auto attacks for like 10 seconds just crit. They just, everything out of them crits, and they pull aggro on like the destroyers, the Molten Giant destroyers in Molten Core or something, or God knows what else in Blackwing Lair. Like they pull aggro off the tank, and they will have a near-death experience, okay? One of two things basically happens. Either they pull aggro off the tank and they die, in which case they don't blame you at all, it's not your fault, or they pull aggro off the tank and they take so much fucking damage that it becomes painfully obvious to everybody involved that the only fucking reason they are still alive with their world buffs and with all their consumes is because Judgment of Light was on the fucking mob. And that happens so frequently, you can almost guarantee that that's going to happen like once or twice, almost every raid night that you're doing it, right? To somebody somewhere, to the point where it becomes a frequently enough of an occurrence that you become beloved by the Rogues and you become beloved by the Fury Warriors for your stupid Judgment of Light on everything in its dog that they're attacking, because they just never know when it's going to save their life, and it will end up saving their life at some point. It'll save their parse, they'll be so happy, it's kind of ridiculous. So you're going to make them super happy that way. Similar things happen to the tank. There are times when the tank takes so much damage and almost dies that he's painfully aware that the only reason he's alive is because of Judgment of Light. Most of the time, it's just your Seal of Wisdoming on the boss, but there are a lot of bosses where Seal of Wisdom's not going to do anything. The fight's going to be over so fast, so you might as well put Judgment of Light on it for a safety judgment. And then there's bosses where Judgment of Light is just the way to go. So, for example, Firemaw, all that AoE damage, if you're able to run in and out and put Judgment of Light on Firemaw, everybody in the fucking raid loves your ass. Melee loves you to the nines because they can parse. They'll start surviving shit. I don't get to see it a lot, but I imagine there's a lot of times when they should have died to Firemaw, but it's painfully obvious that Seal of Light saved their ass. Seal of Light is just so good on Firemaw, it's ridiculous. The AoE exploding guys in Molten Core, or Arcanus, or whatever the hell, put Judgment of Light on him. Melee and everybody will love you to the nines. Rag, depending on what's going on, you put Judgment of Light or Judgment of Wisdom on Rag. Everybody and their dog will love you if you put that stuff on Rag. There's a very special place I always stand, like right next to the melee. So I'll go to where the melee stand, I'll take a right, and I'll stand as far away from them as I can without being in the lava. And just stand there, and I keep putting Judgment on the boss, and I'll heal the raid. And I don't get exploded, I don't hit the melee or anything. It's just a perfect place. So it's like a safety judge a lot of times, and the melee, you will save lives, and people will love you to death for it. And because of that, they will want to give you gear. The last thing to mention is you can look at the loot council of your current guild, and based upon how many people have mana bars, you can tell very quickly who's going to love you and why. It might take a while, but eventually the rogues on the council will love you. The Fury Warriors on the council will love you. They'll find the Judgment of Light thing to be really stupid and annoying until it starts saving lives and world buffs and parses and runs. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, give me that. Holy fuck. So I consider it to be one of the most powerful abilities PvE in the entire game because it causes your guild to fucking love you and do not get rid of you even if you're a shitty healer. and to want to shower you with gear and love and praise. I am not joking. This thing saves fucking lives. Be this paladin. Stay away from Holy Shock. Holy Shock sucks. Okay, are we clear about this? Cool. On top of that, you're not only the Lasting Judgment Paladin, you're the Blessing of Sanctuary Paladin. Blessing of Sanctuary is doing everything that I just described as well. So when these people survive, it's unclear to them what's causing them to survive. Was it Blessing of Sanctuary, or was it Judgment of Light, or was it both? When they look at their health bar and it's like, I only have 100 HP left, and I know for a fucking fact before I ran away, I got at least one healing proc, and then Blessing of Sanctuary was there. There's a really good chance I'm alive because of that fucking paladin. That paladin, that guy, right there. I can point to him. I know who the fuck he is. I know who the fuck he is because when he's dead, there's none of this shit is around. When he doesn't show up for raid, this shit doesn't exist. A lot of times people don't know who the fuck is even putting the seals, Judgment of Light or Seal of Wisdom on the fucking boss until there's a night where you die or you don't show up for, or die early or you don't show up for raid. And the next thing you know, everyone's like, where the fuck is that paladin? Why is there no Seal of Wisdom? Why is there no Judgment of Light? Blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, well, it's that paladin. It's Pally time. He didn't show up today. And they're like, fuck, do we have another paladin that can do it? And the answer is no. So I consider this to be super powerful. These two things in conjunction, your raid will absolutely love you. Love you, love you, love you, love you, love you to death. What else is there to talk about? Let me think. Right, so those are really the only viable PvP talent specs. I'm not joking. You either have Holy Shock and you don't have Lasting Judgment, or you have Lasting Judgment, and I swear you really should pick up Blessing of Sanctuary for all kinds of quality of life reasons and love from the raid and all that stuff. Be that paladin that the raid loves. Be that shitty paladin that doesn't parse for crap, but the raid loves them to death anyways. Be prepared to DI at a moment's notice to save lives and world buffs. If shit's going south, DI your tank, just sacrifice yourself. Be that paladin. They will love you. They will shower you with gear. Let's talk about the DPS paladins and raids. People are still trying to math out how best to be a DPS paladin in raids. One of the biggest things has been solved, especially in hardcore, and they might change it when we get like Classic Plus or Fresh or Season of Mastery or whatever the fuck it is they're planning on coming out with in a little bit. But the problem was that Consecration is usually taken in the Deep Ret build. So you'll go all the way down the Deep Ret tree, but then your last few points you'll end up putting into Consecration. This is the traditional way of doing it because your DPS is so low that I'm just putting points in randomly. Your DPS is so low that you desperately need Consecration. I want 31 talent points in here. So we have 9 talent points left. So you'll come down to Consecration. If I recall correctly, you still get 5 out of 5 readout. And then you pick up this, super important. And I think your last talent point goes somewhere I don't really know. Okay, cool. Are we cool with this? Oh, you don't get intellect with this. You get the strength, obviously, for the command build stuff, right? Derp. But you desperately need the bonus, like 60, 65. I think it's about 65. 65 DPS from Consecration. The problem with Consecration is that it takes up a debuff slot. It doesn't look like it, but you're pushing off a debuff slot just to get like 65 extra DPS on the boss, which is really, really bad. And your guild has to love you in order for you to be able to parse as a Ret Reckoning or a Deep Ret Paladin in raid. But they're not putting debuff limits on the bosses anymore. At least in hardcore they're not, so it might be the same in non-hardcore when it comes out. If that's the case, then Deep Ret might actually become more viable in raids. But it's classic WoW. Everything is viable. A lot of times when you're doing this stuff, the two-hander stuff, you'll end up being a completely different kind of paladin. You'll be using things like Nightfall. Is Nightfall still a thing? I don't even know. Nightfall might have such a low proc chance that nobody uses it. So it says chance on hit, spell damage taken by target increased by 15% for 5 seconds. There's that paladin, and that Ret Paladin is a paladin that takes Nightfall. He also he doesn't have lasting judgment because he doesn't need it. But he's the second lasting judgment paladin in the raid. So the first lasting judgment paladin in the raid puts 3 points, is a healer, the healer that we talked about, that holds himself in reserve, uses a rank 1 seal of light, blah 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 blah. And has Blessing of Sanctuary. So he's the Blessing of Sanctuary Paladin, who's also the Lasting Judgment Paladin, who is also the oh shit emergency reserve mana bar Paladin. Like, that's his shtick. That's his job. This is the other Paladin side of that equation. Because again, you can have Wisdom, and there's no reason you can't have Wisdom and Light up on the boss at the same time. So the Paladin that usually does the Light, or the other one of the missing Wisdom or Light, will be the Nightfall Paladin or the Deep Ret Paladin. So a lot of so if you really want to try to parse, your guild will probably let you try to parse. But on really hard fights that they're struggling with, they will probably ask you to not parse for that fight. And instead, they will ask for you to become the Nightfall Paladin, like, temporarily. So they'll be like, hey, basically, rather than sealing Crusader on the target, which is another issue with Deep Ret Paladin, you need 2 debuff slots. I forgot about this. Jesus Christ. Not only do you need to consecrate for the bonus damage, you need to be allowed an additional debuff slot for Seal of the Crusader, which adds holy damage to the target, which benefits absolutely fucking no one in the raid except your own goddamn self. As opposed to putting Light or Wisdom on the fucking boss, which benefits everybody and makes people love you. The Ret Paladin's almost like the I am attempting to parse Ret Paladin is like the complete opposite of the Paladin we just got done talking about, where everybody loves you because you're helping everybody and and you say to hell with your parsing. This guy is basically like, I'm super selfish, fuck all you guys, I really want to try to make Paladin work. The sheer act of the fact that Paladin used to take up 2 debuff slots that benefit nobody but him and his parse was a huge issue. If they remove the debuff limits, then Ret might actually start becoming a thing. Feel free to theorycraft away on it. People probably are already theorycrafting away on it. It's the same thing for one-handed spell power builds. But I will tell you right now that the two-handed Ret Paladin will do more DPS than the one-handed Paladin spell power stuff. So if you don't know, drink of water. Coughing, one sec. I tried a little bit of gargling and it death might be imminent. Shit. Great, now I'm gonna have hiccups. Awesome. Another drink of water. Deep breath. Relax. All right, where are we at? I'll tell you right now, one-handed Paladin spell power, Paladin does about 75% the DPS output of two-handed Paladin. And that is, I do believe that's true in PvE. I know that's true in PvP, and it's probably also true just due to all the math and the ratios in PvE as well. Okay, so no matter how you look at it, one-handed spell power Paladin probably isn't a thing. Two-handed spell power Paladin probably also isn't a thing. Feel free to theorycraft away to try to figure out how to best do Ret Paladin. I do know that, and I'll get to this when I talk about Seal of Command, but I might as well say it here for the sake of this. Seal of Command has a 30% spell power ratio on the proc, regardless of weapon speed. So you might want to tinker around with faster weapons in your builds. I know that sounds insane. Let me cough again. But you can leverage your spell power ratio into greater DPS. At that point, it becomes important for you to start knowing things about... I'm just playing Battle Brothers. Knowing things about like this. Okay, Minnow sent me this. It's basically a little chart that, because I had a lot of questions about what the hell is going on with Seal Command and Flurry Axe. Why is it not proccing at Flurry Axe, but it's proccing at Manslayer? As the weapon scales up in speed, the proc chance per hit goes up. As it scales down in speed, the proc chance per hit goes down. But you can see the 2-second speed and the 4-second speed are identical proc chances, right? Like I'm not actually losing any DPS on Seal of Command, whether I'm using a two-hander, a 2-second speed weapon or a 4-second speed weapon. Actually, I would be gaining spell power based DPS, if that makes sense. So, and I'm pretty sure it doesn't change for like two-handers as well. This is really a conversation I should be having when I get to Seal Command. But I suppose we can just pause for a sec and have it now and showcase it now. So you can see here I've got a Manslayer. It's got a 2-second speed. Now, according to this little chart here, or whatever the hell we were just looking at, it's got a 23.333% chance to proc. No different than if I was swinging a 4-second speed weapon under similar circumstances. I would also note that I am chatted out to the 9s. With spell power gear, you're going to have a really hard time getting more spell power on your character that I'm currently rocking. Let's just see what happens. This spell power is a little intense. Oh, wait, that's the wrong stuff. What are we doing? No. I'm making a video. Sorry, boys. All right, cool. Let's just watch this for a second here. So, you can see the procs going off. Let's get the combat log going. Seal Command, 263. The spell damage does actually, when it crits, the spell damage will, in fact, double up in damage with the crit. Okay, if that makes any sense. So to give you an idea of how much spell power we're working with here, I think we're close to... We're over 500 spell power on the holy damage. Let's do that one more time. It's not the right spell. Okay, command. Okay, cool. Yeah. But you can see what I mean by there's a 30% ratio when it procs regardless of swing speed. So I don't know if that's going to be I guess that's not a spell power bonus in the grand scheme of things because if I'm wielding, is it? Let me think. Yeah, because I'm proccing less often, but I'm still doing 30% chance. So I guess it's not a DPS increase in the grand scheme of things. But Manslayer here is still terrifying because Manslayer's got 100% spell power ratio on its chance per hit, right? And just realizing how the spell power thing works basically really opens up your options for what weapons you use as a rep paladin. You don't have to use the slowest speed weapon possible. People will tell you that. It's actually it's actually a lie. Because this weapon here does, which is like the fastest two-hander you could possibly use, will be doing the same amount of command DPS as the 4-second speed weapon, which is the slowest one that you can possibly use. So that whole use the slowest speed weapon possible is actually a lie. It doesn't really get you all that much. There might be some breakpoints in here. I couldn't really tell you. But just keep that in mind. So the other reason why I keep yelling at people who use Seal of Command on slow speed weapons in hardcore. I'm looking at them and I'm like, why? Why? You're just going to run into situations where it doesn't proc a lot and you desperately need it to proc and it doesn't proc, or you get missed, dodged, and parried all the damn time and you're going to fucking die. Just use a faster one. You'll have more consistent output. It's the same fucking DPS. You have a wider array of weapons that you can use. You can use more up-to-date weapons. They have amazing procs with ratios. Like, what the fuck are we doing dicking around with these slow two-handed weapons and Seal of Command? Like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this to ourselves? Like, where's the benefit? And the answer is there isn't any, and go screw yourselves. All right, cool. So we talked about that a little bit. That should be all the raids, thank God. So we covered all the raid specs. We covered all the talents. Basically, the DPS stuff is still in full-on, Theorycraft mode. The reason why it's still in full-on Theorycraft mode is because neither me or Drakova can be bothered to go and actually figure it out. And the guy who should be able to figure it out, S-Fan, is, I'm going to be straight up honest with you, okay, is not good enough to be able to figure it out, or he is good enough to be able to figure it out. He has figured it out, and it's just not that good. Okay, one of the two. All right, one of the two. Okay, cool. All right. So, but he's probably your guy to go to. Minnow's actually pretty good. He spent a lot of time dinking around with that stuff. I'm not sure if he has any videos on it, but whatever. I think he was testing spell power back in the day. But yeah, that's why I asked him, and he gave me that, and he was really like, "Damn, all right, thanks." Like, I don't know where to find that shit. Jesus. There was one other thing I want to talk about. Right. So we talked about raid specs. All right, so now let's talk about, we're going to take a little bit of a tangent for PvP specs here real quick, okay? I'm just going to show you the PvP specs, just in case that's your jam. This is supposed to be the everything Paladin. Normally I specialize in PvP, but if I also made this the PvP video, this series would go from like 3 hours to like 24 hours, and I'm not fucking joking. The complexity of Paladin scales exponentially when you transition from PvE to PvP. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so here is a Holy Reckoning Deep Holy Paladin. Boop. Strip points out at all? No, I got 31 in there. Okay, cool. So here's your typical Deep Holy Paladin as near as I can tell. Notice we're getting the toughness. Notice we're getting the toughness. Notice we're getting the toughness. I think we have enough points. We get the stun. Sometimes you want to strip a point out here and put 3 points into here. It's debatable. You can strip a point. You can take away Holy Shock and get Blessing of Sanctuary for quality of life. This is a really good build right here that we're looking at right now. But this is so close to Holy Reckoning that you might as well just go Holy Reckoning. Like, this is Holy Reckoning. Like, what you're looking at right now is Holy Reckoning. There's some free talent points here and there that you can strip out. I think. Just 3 points in there? Yeah, just 3 points in there, huh? Okay. I'm trying to see if I can strip out another point anywhere. Doesn't look like it. I'm not stripping a point out of Reckoning. That is not happening. Strip, strip. Yeah, I knew we could strip a point somewhere. Okay, so it's this tier. Yeah, okay. Strip that point, put that point in there. Okay, cool. Damn. All right, this is Holy Reckoning. So I only recently learned about this one-hand specialization stuff, and I'm going to go respec and test it when I get a chance, right? But this might be the new Holy Reckoning build. Again, I'm starting to devalue Lasting Judgment because I'm getting better and better with Seal of Crusader. I'm getting more and more used to using Seal of Crusader, so I'm starting to devalue Seal of Judgment a bit. But you can see this is pure PvP. You wouldn't really want to take this thing into raid, especially after I started talking up and literally jizzing all over Lasting Judgment, right? You wouldn't really want to take that in raid. You can put 2 points in Lasting Judgment and get away with it to go into raid, and you still have 2 points over here. But you're not going to use this as much in PvP. But this is a really terrifying Holy Reckoning build right here. This might be more valuable than this. I would have to look into it for reasons that I'm not going to get into right now. But that is Holy Reckoning. The other one that we showed is basically Holy Shock, right? So your options are Reckoning, Holy Shock, Reckoning, Holy Shock. One is known as Deep Holy. The other one is known as Reckoning. Both these paladins are time on target paladins. Where do you go for your time on target paladin PvP info? That would be here. That would be me. That would be my guides. That would be my videos. You look up paladin versus rogue, paladin versus this, paladin versus that. I'm going to be talking about time on target. It's what I do. What the fuck is time on target real fast? Well, time on target is when you start using trinkets like Gnomish Net-O-Matic. Nifty Stopwatch is good. Usually you want Goblin Mortar. But you start using trinkets like this. I'll just pull them out here real quick. Gnomish Net-O-Matic. Where the hell is my... I'm missing one, right? No, I guess that's just the stuff. But really it's just these... Oh, yeah. Mithril Insignia. Where the hell are you? You're up in Narnia, aren't you? I remember that. I remember you're in Narnia. Mithril Insignia. Okay. Grants immunity to fear for 30 seconds. Blah, 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 blah. Basically, what time on target does is you build yourself to be a virtually unkillable paladin, and the enemy kind of wears themselves out trying to kill you. Like they'll use grenade, they'll use PvP trinkets or trinkets and stuff trying to kill you, and so forth and so on. They use their abilities to get you physically off of them to try to kill you. Now, it's not necessary for them to do this, but it guarantees their death if they start doing this. So usually you play with them a little bit. Like the first 30 seconds of the fight, you're just purely defensive. You'll see their grenade come out. You'll see their burst trinket come out. You'll see their title charm, their goblin mortar come out to try to stop your healing to kill you. If they fail to kill you, and they will, if they fail to kill you, and they will, because you built to be that they can't kill you, the next thing you know, you jump all over them with all kinds of things like swiftness potion, gnomish netomatic, goblin mortar, discombobulator rays is in here as well. Where the hell is discombobulator ray? That's major recombobulator ray. Discombobulator ray. It's a ranged ability, transforms the target into a leopard gnome, reduces melee and spell damage by 40, and reduces the target's movement speed by 20% for 12 seconds, right? So swiftness potions, gnomish netomatic, goblin mortar, discombobulator ray, or grenade. You can't use either one of them. You just have all these abilities to just sit on top of them. And you sit on top of them as an unkillable turd with a bunch of spell power, one-handed weapons like Edward the Odd, for example. If you think you're going to need to heal, because Edward the Odd will proc and you just heal to full. They can't get you off of them. This is a running theme. They can't kill you. They can't get you off of them. You just beat them to death. That's time on target. Your DPS is lower than and is significantly less bursty than like Ret Reckoning or like Deep Ret. But you kill people by just finding the ability to sit physically on top of them for 40 plus seconds and just grind them into pulp. It is an absolutely terrifyingly effective way to play Paladin, and when you get good at it, you can be a brain dead, a keyboard turning, clicker, auto attacking Andy like myself, and you can actually kill the best people in the entire game with that kind of stuff. You are a fucking monster, time on target, dickhead extraordinaire. Love this stuff. But anyways, that is the Reckoning build. So both those specs, Deep Holy and then the Holy Reckoning, they play slightly differently, but they tend to use time on target. Different pros and cons. Okay, so the next build that happens that we probably need to talk about is Shock Eye. Shock Eye has a weird scaling thing in Classic World of Warcraft. It's good at times and it's bad at times during different phases. We need to go all the way down to Holy Shock, don't we? Do we want Lasting Judgment? All the way down to Holy Shock. Let's go. So the Paladin that I'm currently on, I can probably just show my talents, but I was kind of screwing around with it. The Paladin I'm currently on is Shock Eye, because it's got a lot of things to test, and I wanted to test out Shock Eye anyways. Probably put 2 points there. Oh, you're probably going to want to put all 3 points into there. Definitely picking up command. I don't know if I want this or parry, but you come all the way down here to Eye, and you have 3 points left over. You put your 3 points into Readout. Okay, this is Shock Eye. Now, there's another one where you start stripping out points, and you just come down here for command, and you put some more points in, and you try to... Yeah, I've got no more points that we can strip out. No more points that we can strip out. 31, 9, 11. Yeah, that's right. Okay. And you do something like this, right? Early on in your life cycle, this is Shock Eye, and this is known as Shock Command or Command Shock Paladin, right? And it's pretty good. It's this weird thing where it's good enough to talk about, but it's not good enough to beat out other options, if that makes any sense, for a variety of reasons. But this is what it looks like early game, because you struggle to find hit gear early game. But as the game progresses, as it turns into like AQ40 and Nax and all that stuff, and other gear starts coming online, you don't need the hit anymore, and you start pulling points out of here, and you start putting more points in down here and you start picking up Eye for an Eye. And why is this? Well, it's because all the other classes in their dog are scaling, especially in Nax Ramus, are scaling off of Critical Strike. So what happens from like Blackwing Lair to AQ40 to Nax is that from Blackwing Lair to AQ40, spell power goes up a little bit, but Critical Strike goes up rather significantly. And then when it goes from AQ40 to Nax, spell power doesn't go up at all in Nax for just about any caster. I'm not joking. It does not go up from AQ40 into Nax at all. But Critical Strike chance goes up significantly as well. So in Nax gear, people are critting like crazy, and subsequently Eye for an Eye gets better and better and better and better and better as time goes on, to the point where in Phase 6, which is basically where we're at now, Eye for an Eye is basically as good as Reckoning. It is insanely good on your paladins. You just walk up to people, you're heal locked while they're casting spells into you, and they do so much damage to themselves, you just get to walk up to them and start murdering the crap out of them. There is some time on target element to this build. It's very, so you are a time on target paladin, so I guess you should be talking to me about what the hell is going on here. But I'm going to tell you right now that this build is absolutely terrifying. It has a little bit of holes, but those holes tend to be made up by the fact that you have Holy Shock. Okay? Super good. Absolutely top tier later in the game. Not very good in the early game. In the early game, you probably want to do the other thing, or you want to do Holy Reckoning or something else. By the time AQ40 comes out, by the time Nax comes out, this starts becoming a super serious thing that needs to be taken very seriously as a build. Okay, it's unclear to any of us how seriously we need to make this yet, because nobody's actually really playing this damn thing. That's why I was trying to mess around a little bit. Okay, so then there's oh boy, everything Paladin videos. Jesus, we haven't even talked about the spells yet. So I'll finish this PvP stuff. I'll end the video there, and then I'll go talk about all the spells in painful detail. Okay, so Ret Reckoning. Hopefully you guys know what the hell that is. It's a paladin that I think you get anticipation in Ret Reckoning. I'm not joking. I think it's for parry haste, but you can get either one. You get toughness. It depends on what phase you're in. To give you an idea of the nuance here. So yeah, we'll get a little bit of anticipation. We don't want Blessing of Sanctuary, even though Blessing of Sanctuary is really good. I think you get Blessing of Sanctuary, I'm not going to lie. Now you get 5 out of 5 here, but you don't put any points in there. That you might take Improved Blessing of Might. I'm not joking. Okay, definitely take this. Definitely want 5 points in this. I don't give a shit. Definitely want 5 points in this. Definitely taking Command. We're not taking this. No, we get Eye for an Eye. That might be a good Holy Reckoning build. It might... Ret Reckoning. You might want 1 point here. Hard to really tell. Some Ret Reckoning points have like 1 point in Vengeance. I don't know how they get there. I could be wrong. Maybe I got like extra points in this tree or something. Maybe they don't put the 5 points to get the plus 10 strength. They decide that this is better. Sometimes they get this aura here because it adds to their damage output. I got 2 points left. Yeah, so I guess this is the version that ends up getting Vengeance. Which may or may not be a thing. They put 1 point in Vindication. I remember now. They get 1 point in Vengeance. So this is a version of Ret Reckoning that I see very often. A lot. 1 sec, I gotta take another bio break. All this damn water. Okay, we are back. And still recording this damn thing. Water. Coughing. Voice is starting to go. I might have to talk really, really slowly in the next video. Or you might just have to wait till tomorrow. Yeah, there's a good chance you guys probably have to wait till tomorrow for the next video. So my voice is starting to go fast. Or later tonight, maybe. I can probably do that. Right, so the moral of the story with Ret Reckoning is if you see Vengeance proccing, That is a paladin that has Reckoning going, right? If you don't see Reckoning proccing, or Vengeance proccing, so you can see Drakova here has at least 1 point in Vengeance, so I guess he still feels perfectly comfortable, even though he's in Might of Minithil gear and everything, to have his 1 point in Vengeance. Why, I don't really know. We're not taking Divine Strength even in Nax gear, but I will bow to his expertise. It's probably because two-handed weapon specialization increases the damage of everything, like we talked about already, right? So it's just objectively superior to put points in here than in the strength. And then while you're down here, you might as well blah, 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 blah. This is Reckoning. Not much to really say about it. It has an interesting life cycle in Classic. It is extremely glass cannony and very difficult to build for. The only advice I can really give you on the subject is Voonies. Voonies Vice Grips. It's a piece of mail gear that you can get super early on, but it has plus 2% chance to hit. If you're having gearing problems, consider gearing around Voonies. The thing has a life cycle in Classic where it's really painful to gear early on. It becomes easier if you're ranking. It becomes super easy to gear a Reckoning Paladin when AQ40 comes out, and then in Nax gear, it's like this in AQ40 and in Nax, Reckoning is like a top Predator Paladin, if that makes any sense. So basically, Reckoning is a cut above every other Paladin PvP spec, period. Okay? Period. Once you hit endgame gear. Like, once you're in Nax gear, once you're in AQ40 type stuff, and you have the gear, Reckoning it's like another tier of Paladin power level. Absolutely fucking terrifying. If you don't believe me, watch even my commentary, the video that I put it out before on the subject. One sec, let's get a decent picture going here. Yeah, okay, we can just be sitting on the side of the bay, I guess, with that one. Yeah, we want to refresh that. I don't want this thing going here. Right, but yeah, it's, what was I trying to say with the... Okay, so why is it top tier terrifying? It has to do with this damn trinket right here, Burrower Shell. So we're not going to play that. I guess I'll just go back over to... No. So the difference between a Reckoning Paladin that has Burrower Shell and a Reckoning Paladin that doesn't have Burrower Shell is like night and day. Okay, what's this trinket say? Use. Absorb 900 damage. It gives you a 900 damage absorb shield. It lasts 20 seconds, and it's on a fucking 2-minute cooldown. Until you get Burrower Shell from AQ40, which is the dream of every Reckoning Paladin, you are basically stuck with using Defiler Talismans. It's basically the Arathi Basin absorb trinkets, but those are only physical damage absorb trinkets. And you're stuck using Arena Grandmasters, but Arena Grandmasters has a 30-minute cooldown. Can I even spell Arena? I think it's like this, dumbass. Yeah, Arena Grandmaster is like a 30-minute cooldown, right? But at least you get to experience what it's like. Tal. Fuck off. Tal. Man. Yeah, these. So you get these absorb trinkets. So this is use, absorb, like, around about 550-ish. Physical damage, lasts 15 seconds, 3-minute cooldown. Why are absorb trinkets so horrifyingly valuable on Reckoning Paladins? I'll say, so Reckoning Paladins are kind of glass cannony. They have the death touch. If they touch you, you fucking die. It's like a 10% chance that you don't die if a Reckoning Paladin physically touches you. The problem is that they kind of have bubble and their standing hit points and whatever trinkets they're using to do it. So Paladin, Ret Reckoning doesn't have a lethality problem. It has a durability problem, and it technically doesn't even have a durability problem. It has a how do I catch this motherfucker before I need to stop and heal myself because I can't heal in combat problem. If you can solve the how do I touch this motherfucker problem, motherfuckers just explode. Okay? And the reason why these absorb trinkets are so amazing is not only does it help you to touch somebody, because it gives you a larger HP pool, hit break points, all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. But more importantly, they can double as an ability to heal yourself in combat, meaning while you're getting stabbed. So you have the pushback thing going when you otherwise wouldn't have the ability to. So, for example, you will burrow or shell for the extra hit points to be able to kill, to be able to keep running at somebody and kill them. You will burrow or shell to be able to heal while people are like shooting, like a hunter is shooting at you and a pet is like gnawing on you, right? If a rogue is attacking you, you'll use this trinket here and you'll start going for some holy lights. And because you're immune to pushback while you have the bubble shields. It solves what. It doubles up on solving one of the major problems of Ret Reckoning, and that is that you have no heal in combat, and you desperately, you don't need more damage. You need the ability to either survive better so that you can catch people, or you just need to do some time on target shenanigans so you can catch people better and deliver them the good news. If you watched Drakova play, giving him Burrow or Shell was probably the worst fucking thing for the Horde on the server that we play on. Imaginable. Once he got Burrower Shell and we all got to see what the fuck he could do with that shit, holy crap, is it terrifying. So that's why it has a really weird life cycle, is because, the other reason it has a really weird life cycle is by the time you get into Nax gear, when in AQ you get Burrower Shell. Okay, well that's fucking terrifying. In AQ, you also get access to Avenger gear, which is really easy to get and makes both Deep Ret and Ret Reckoning super easy to gear. Also fucking terrifying. By the time you start seeing these fuckers running around in Nax gear, they have such a high health pool, and who the fuck, and somebody gave these dumbasses a Burrower Shell, that they are the PvP top predator in all of World of Warcraft. I am not joking. Elemental shamans eat your heart out. Holy fuck. A top tier paladin, Ret Reckoning paladin, properly geared in Nax gear, absolutely fucking terrifying. To give you an idea of the terror, they have like 5,600, 5,800 HP. They have Burrower Shell. They have thick obsidian breastplate. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, I actually have one. I can just go into the game and show you thick obsidian breastplate. Boop. Thick obsidian breastplate. Basically, it says equip. When struck in by a non-periodic damaging spell, you have a 30% chance of getting a 6-second spell shield that absorbs, on average, 400 damage from that school of magic. So you have, like, I made entire videos on how good thick obsidian breastplate is. Everybody and their dog uses thick obsidian breastplate now. You'll see it on all the paladins. I don't know if that's my fault. I don't know if that's Dracova's fault. Don't know if that's Talrain's fault. But all top tier paladins wear thick obsidian breastplate in their builds. I am no exception. But I'm also the guy, and Dracova's the guy that made the videos on the subject. So, I mean, it is what it is, right? So, they have so much fucking hit points. They are so fucking hard to kill. And if they touch you, you die. Like, that's basically the situation that's happening. And, oh, by the way, they can also heal in combat now to a reasonable degree. Holy fucking shit. The other build that goes Super Saiyan, that's only slightly less good, reset, than Ret Reckoning, is the two variations of Deep Ret. So, there are two variations of Deep Ret. One of them has in-combat healing, which is this thing. The other one, it doesn't have in-combat healing, but just goes deeper and deeper down into the prot tree, or just starts filling out their They just have 5 extra points to spare. So let me put in points, and I'll shut up here for a second. Probably still want that because it's critical strike chance at this point. Definitely want that. Right, so this is the in-combat healing version because you took Spiritual Sanctuary. Now, there's 2 different kinds of Ret Paladins. There's like your Jousting Ret Paladin, and then there's your... Well, technically there's 3. There's Control Ret, there's Jousting Ret, and then there's Time on Target Ret. And the problem with these specs is that they are so similar in what gear they wear, kind of, and they are so similar in what talents they take, kind of, that it's almost, but they play super differently. Like, the real difference is in the trinkets, and the real difference is in how they play and what they're doing and why. Okay, so this in-combat version here is really good for, and let's strip out talent points. Like, let's say I just strip out like 10 talent points from here. Like what can we get, right? Not really much. I'm just wondering how deep can I go? Yeah, there we go. Okay, now we're getting into control ret territory. Yeah, that's control ret right there. Okay, I'm looking at it. Definitely control ret. Okay, so this is screaming control ret at this point. God help us all. And I straight. Yeah. Okay. So we'll start with the in combat healing one, real fast here. Come on, give me back my points. Give me back my points. Okay, cool. All right, so we'll start with the in combat healing one. So the in-combat healing one likes to wear the gear that I'm kind of wearing. They like tier 2. They like rank gear. Rank gear is super good on Deep Ret in general. Deep Ret really likes wearing the hybrid gear. So that would be Avengers. That would be the PvP gear. That would be them mixing the PvP gear with various bits of the T2 gear. It's like Avengers, PvP gear, and then whatever little off pieces you can find here or there. They really like the hybrid gear. And what do I mean by hybrid? I mean gear that has all the stats. Like, they like melee crit. They like spell power. I can just show you real fast here in game. So here's the bits of PvP gear that I currently have. So you can see here it says things like strength, stamina, intellect, spell power ratio, like, physical melee crit. This one, strength, stamina, intellect, a melee crit, a spell power, MP5. This thing, stamina, you get the point we're going here. They like having spell power, but really they like having stamina, strength, intellect with melee crit. But they also don't mind having spell power. Spell power is very, very much appreciated on the gear. So, for example, a little bit of an off piece that you would pick up would be Crusader. Most Fallen gear fits into this category. Fallen Crusader. Yeah, there's 2 pieces of Fallen Crusader. The Fallen Crusader belt, it's got all the stats in the world. Super good. Off chromaticness. Nobody wants it. Amazing. The Fallen Crusader leg pieces. I think this is Fire Maw. Yeah, this is still fucking amazing. All the stats. Agility is a good stat on these Paladin. These are really good pieces that you'll just mix in. But the Paladin basically plays the same as any other type of Paladin. So I'm not going to talk about the playstyle. It's just a slightly different gearing difference with here. I'll talk about the playstyle when we talk about control ret. This spec might be a little bit more time on target oriented. Time on target oriented means you're going to be taking Gnomish Nanomatic over like Tidal Charm, or you'll be taking Nifty Stopwatch over Goblin Mortar, for example, because it's more time on target. Again, we can look at this right here. Nifty Stopwatch, 30-minute cooldown, not all that great, but increased movement speed by 40% for 10 seconds. That's time on target. Goblin Mortar is just amazing in general, and it's a super hard trinket not to put on every Paladin. Just because it has everything you want. It stuns the target at range. It does a lot of burst damage. There's no good substitute for Goblin Mortar. And it's just usually when Goblin Mortar is on cooldown, you default to some other stuff that you got going on here. This thing will be a little bit more time on target oriented than, say, Control Ret. Control Ret, let's go here real fast. I might be going off into Narnia on a tangent with this PvP stuff, but we're here. We'll do it. I don't know. I don't care what I'm putting my points into right now. Just know that, all right? We're just coming down here to control ret. All that matters with control ret, I swear, I probably just put points over here, honestly, right? Yeah. Okay, control ret is after the reduced cooldown in your stuns. It lives and breathes. So how control ret works is now you're using things like grenades. You're using Goblin Mortar because it stuns. You're using Tidal Charm because it stuns. You're using Hammer of Justice on a 35-second cooldown because it stuns. The PvP gear, if you read it here, when you have 3-set bonus, reduce the cooldown of your Hammer of Justice by 10 seconds. 3-piece PvP gear, super important for deep ret or control ret, so I have been told. Is there? Yeah, and then you have Repent. So basically, you've got 2 trinkets that are a source of stuns. You've got a built-in 30-second stun, a 35-second CD a stun, and then you have Repent, which is on a minute cooldown, and you have Grenades, which are on a minute cooldown. And what you're doing is you're not only using all this stun to create this weird time on target type scenario. So you're using the stuns to both bitch slap your opponent and heal yourself to full, and catch them. Like they are doubling up on all kinds of things. So you're using your stuns to heal. You're using your stuns to catch. You're using your stuns to get free damage on them before you heal them, and all this kind of stuff. But more importantly, Judgment of or Seal of Command does twice as much damage when it's used on targets that are incapacitated. This is one of the reasons why the spell power gear is actually desired. The hybrid gear with spell power on it is desired with the control ret build. It's because a lot of your damage is coming out from Judgment of Crusader into targets that are incapacitated. And the whole playstyle in general plays like a very weird hybrid between a very strange hybrid between time on target, and which is all about catching people and sitting on top of them until they die, and a jousting paladin, or deep ret paladin, which is what we're about to talk to now. A jousting deep ret paladin is a paladin that gets on top of you, bitch slaps you, hopes for good RNG. If they don't get good RNG on their auto attack, they immediately heal themselves to full. And then normally the enemy will like CC them and then run away again, and then they hit them with another ranged stun or a ranged ability, and they start this process all over again. This paladin does something similar. He's definitely jousting, but he's also has the gear, the spell power, and the healing capability. More importantly, the healing capability from all this stun crap that's going on, this incapacitation stuff that's going on, to actually be able to start doing time on target things. So there will be moments with this build where the enemy completely runs out of the ability to get you off of them, and you've just healed yourself to full life, and the next thing you know, you get to sit on them for 20 seconds and just grind them into the dirt with you, just beat them to death, basically. So this thing starts out doing jousting, but if the enemy hasn't died from the jousting, it usually ends with a time on target chain where the enemy dies anyways, because you just ground them into pulp. They ran out of the ability to get you off of them, and they just die. This build becomes this build is always good. Okay, don't get me wrong. This build is always good. But it's really good with rank gear. It really comes into its own in Phase 3 when you can mix the 3-piece rank gear with the Tier 2 set. When Avengers comes out, this thing goes Super Saiyan. You give this thing... it doesn't need burrow shells. It doesn't take burrow shells. My bad. When Nax comes out and you get a Might of Minithil on this thing goes... it becomes... a cut above the rest, if that makes sense. It's not reckoning levels of cut above the rest, but it's a cut above the rest enough to make mention of it being a cut above the rest, but it's slightly less good than reckoning. Because this thing will struggle to take on multiple opponents, whereas Ret Reckoning just, you throw multiple opponents at Ret Reckoning, expect multiple people to die, including yourself. Like, that's just how it works, right? You die and you take 2 to 3 of them with you. That's how Reckoning works. This thing doesn't have Reckoning, which is why that's primarily what's holding it back from being mentioned at the tippy top, but it's right below the tippy top. This thing's absolutely fucking terrifying when you give it a Might of Minithil. Here's the trick, though. If you actually do the math on deep rep paladins, Might of Minithil is not your BIS weapon. Not even Dark Edge of Insanity is your BIS weapon. Your BIS weapon is fucking Hand of Rag. And I know that sounds insane to say that your BIS weapon is Hand of Rag on Deep Rep Paladin all the way to the end of the game. Come fight me, bro. I am not joking about this. And the reason why I say this is this. Fire resist helps you resist nades. And I've talked about this at length, but as you begin gearing your paladin up more and more and more, and you get better and better at the game, there comes a point where you don't need these stamina buffs on your helm or your legs anymore. So if you see here, you'll notice I have plus 20 fire resist to my legs, and I have plus 20 fire resist to my helm. And if I just put these leg pieces on and I sit in fire resist aura, I'm already at like 135 fire resist. And this is without Hand of Rag. Hand of Rag would make that 165. And this is without me putting on other things like Onyxia's Tooth Pendant and trying all that hard to get my fire resist up any more than it already is. One sec, let me swap this stuff back again. Judgment. Right, we're in the bright gear? Okay, cool. Okay. When you start stacking fire resist, which is the easiest resist to stack on any paladin in the game, what you begin to notice is that, and we tested this already, you can get around about 190 fire resist without breaking a sweat on a Hand of Rag paladin, like without breaking a sweat. Without breaking a sweat and still hitting your HP breakpoints. Again, I'm going off into a PvP tangent, but, you know, humor me. Because I get to talk about resist for a second, and we got to talk about resist anyways at some point, so I might as well talk about it here. You start resisting grenades like 50% of the time. I tested it. I have like 190 fire resist. I know from math that is a 45% magic damage reduction. Well, I'll tell you how resist works in a second. And you have an innate chance to resist stuns in general by like 5%, right? So someone throws a grenade at you and you're like at 190 fire resist with Hand of Rag. The next thing you know, you have a 50% chance to resist that nade. A 50% chance to resist nade stuns on time on target paladins of any kind, including deep rep paladins, is absolutely fucking terrifying. If they throw a grenade at you and the grenade does no damage, but it stuns you, that is terrifying enough on its own. If they throw a grenade at you and it does full damage, but you resist the stun, that is way fucking worse. Because that is one less tool they have to get you the fuck off of them, which means that that grenade resist is worth like 2 or 3 auto attacks to you as a deep rep paladin, which is more than you need to pull the trigger on just murdering people. Fire resist is super valuable on just about any paladin build, but especially the time on target ones that kind of need the more DPS oriented stuff. The other reason why Hand of Rag is still your best weapon is the proc on it. The proc on Hand of Rag, if you do the math on it, God, let me try to remember. So I compared it to Might of Minithil and I compared it to Dark Edge of Insanity, and basically the math came back that it said that because how deep rep paladins work is they run up to you. They use their CC to catch you. They run up to you and they hit you once with their auto attack. And they're looking at the RNG of their auto attack. And on good RNG of their auto attack, they will pull the trigger on some additional CC, like the 6-second stun, and they'll grenade you for like 1.5 seconds, or they'll big bomb you for 2.5 seconds instead. I forget the name of it. It's like a grenade, but instead it stuns you for like 5 seconds. Like, fuck. Give me a sec here. This is the Everything Paladin video. The big one, right? High explosive bomb? No. The big one. The big one. Where are you at, homie? The big one. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Big one. It says it stuns the target for 5 seconds. This is extremely short range. You can't use it while moving. And it takes 3 fucking seconds to throw this goddamn bomb. But if you stun your target for 6 seconds and you have a 3.7 melee swing with Hand of Rag, this is the bomb you use. You swing with Hand of Rag, you spend the 3 fucking seconds to throw this goddamn bomb, and rather than using a thorium grenade to stun the target for 1.5 seconds, because there's a 50% diminishing return at that point, you stun them for 2.5 seconds. And that just happens to be enough time for you to do some extra shit, like not get an extra melee swing, but for you to get in a Hammer of Wrath or something like that on top of your extra melee swing. It's just good. Just use this damn bomb. Use this damn bomb. If you're a deep ret paladin, use this fucking bomb. Fuck you. If you're honestly, you should be using this if you're trying to kill somebody in a stun lock. The big one is the one to use. Little expensive, but we're only using it under very specific circumstances. And Hand of Rag is really, really good for that. Anyways, right, but if you run up and you hit somebody with Might of Minithil, there's like a 15% chance per auto attack that you joust into them that you will do enough damage that you will feel comfortable enough to pull the trigger on all the rest of your CC to try to murder them, to try to kill them, okay? Hand of Rag, by comparison, roll. If we're factoring in oils and stuff, we're also factoring in oils to shadow oil specifically to Hand of Might of Minithil. Hand of Rag's proc chance means that rather than it being a 1 in 15, a 15% chance that our joust will do enough damage that we can go all in on trying to kill the target, Hand of Rag will do is 19% chance. That's a 19% chance to be able to go all in to kill the target, mostly due to a combination of shadow oil procking and the weapon, the proc chance on the weapon itself procking. So, for example, usually when you touch someone, you need something to crit. You either need the white to crit and Seal of Command to proc, or you need the white command to proc and crit, but the white didn't crit. Just having the white hit and command proc, but no crits is not enough damage to pull the trigger. And that's where Hand of Rag comes in, because Hand of Rag is like, I got your back, bro. He'll be like, yeah, I know you white hit him, and I know Seal of Command procced, and I know that neither of them crit, but Hand of Rag procs anyways, and that's actually enough damage to go all in. Especially if Shadow Oil is in play and around and you have any kind of spell power going on, which you should have. There's some similar stuff that goes on with Dark Edge of Insanity, but good luck getting a Dark Edge of Insanity. That it ends up being slightly better than Might of Minithil. But Might of Minithil ends up being better because it's a slower weapon. So Might of Minithil and Dark Edge of Insanity, because Dark Edge of Insanity also has a proc, are in contention with each other. But there's really no dispute that for deep ret paladins, Hand of Rag is the way to go. If for nothing else, then the fire resist is ridiculous. So I'm talking a lot about resists. How the hell do I know these numbers on resist? What the hell are we talking about here? If you don't know, let me think. 40 resist in World of Warcraft at level 60 is a 10% damage reduction. Holy crap, I got a lot of things open now, don't I? 40 resist at level 60 in World of Warcraft is a 10% damage reduction. That means all these auras that add 60 resist to us are a 15% spell damage reduction. Shit gets weirder, though, because the different schools of magic do different things. So, for example, when you're getting hit with frost spells can only ever be fully resisted, or they do full damage. They do nothing in between. Fully resisted or do full damage. And that's actually really scary from a PvP perspective, right? Now, this is the important part for hardcore, because there's a lot of fire damage flying around in hardcore. Fire damage is the other special boy as far as magic damage flying around goes in classic World of Warcraft. Fire resist, once you start putting any amount of fire resist actually on you, let's say you start getting up to 80 fire resist, 85, 100 fire resist, something like that. You will never see fire spells 100% resist. My bad. 0%, yeah, 100% resist ever again. Fire spells, when you cast them at a target, even if they've got 500 fire resist, you will never, ever, ever see a full fire resist. Like it does not happen. Conversely, you very, very rarely ever see a 0% fire resist once fire resist starts getting stacked up. If that makes any sense. And 125, that's already stacked up. By the time this thing starts saying fair, you're effectively stacked up. So at this fire resist level, just casually standing here in my full tier 2, minding my own business with a fire resist aura, if a fire mage showed up and started fighting me right now, I can guarantee you we will not see a single one of those spells fully resist, and we will not see a single one of those spells at a 0% resist. At this, pretty much at this spell level. It's not a 100% guarantee, but it's like 80% chance. It's kind of ridiculous. I'm talking the whole fight, an 80% chance that you will never see. I get hit by a spell and my resistance did nothing. Fire damage is the complete opposite of frost damage. It's this extraordinarily consistent thing. This is super important for hardcore because a lot of the stuff that's going to kill you in Molten Core is going to be fire damage based, and a lot of stuff that's going to kill you in Blackwing Lair is going to be fire damage based. Just know that fire resist, when you stack it up, is the resist that's the closest thing to a flat damage reduction always being in effect at all times. Okay, so fire resist is by far the best resist to stack in the game from both a PvE perspective and a PvP perspective, and us Paladins just happen to be awash in an ocean of fire resistance, good fire resist gear potential, especially with Hand of Frag. Okay, cool? We cool on that? Cool. Let's talk about the other resistances. The other resistances just operate normally. What the fuck is normally? Because I just spent a lot of time talking about at the abnormal. Let's talk about the normal. Make sure I'm still recording here. Cool. Take a drink of water. Cool. What is abnormal? Or, what is normal, so that we can compare what I just talked about for abnormal. So what is normal is that when you get hit with a spell in Classic World of Warcraft, one of 5 things happens. Okay? It's either 0% resisted, 25% resisted, 50% resisted, 75% resisted, or 100% resisted. One of those 5 things happens. And all the other spells play by the rules. Shadow damage plays by the rules. Nature damage plays by the rules. Holy damage is not subject to resistances. Arcane damage plays by the fucking rules. It's just frost damage and fire damage that are in special ed class, basically. Frost spells, again, they don't have partials at all. It's either 100% resisted or 0% resisted. You might ask, why is that? And so, well, most frost spells come with a slow effect, so the game designers decided that they didn't want people to be able to put the slow effect on consistently at all times, so they made the resist like that for frost spells. Yay. Fire spells are the complete opposite of the frost spells in the sense that they get the 100% resist, and the 0% pretty much whacked off at the high levels. Hacked off of the possibilities as you begin stacking your fire resist. And so that every time you get hit with a fire spell, it's either 20% resist, 75% resist, 50%, or 75. It's one of those. 25, 50, 75. 25, 50, 75. And the closer you get to 200 resistance, which is the 50% resist mark. Again, 40 resist is 10% resistance. So 200 spell power, 200 resistance is 50% resist. The numbers get really close. I'm talking like you get hit with a fire spell at 200 fire resist, and there's a 25% chance it's 75% resisted, a 25% chance that it is 25% resisted, and then 50% of the time is a 50% resistance. Every time, you never fucking see a 0% resist. You never fucking see a 100% resist. Super consistent, super amazing. Really, really good stuff. And of course, this also applies to grenades. So you're running around with grenades and, right, that's the other thing we talk about. There's another normal called binary. And binary just means it's either 0 or 100%. So as we just described, frost spells are essentially binary. They're either 0% resisted or they're 100% effective, nothing in between. All your CC spells are essentially binary, right? When somebody's casting a fear on you, it's either 100% effect or it's fully resisted. When somebody's casting a slow on you, assuming it doesn't do damage, it's binary, 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 binary. It's either 0% or 100%. Grenade stun is either 0% or 100%. So when you're in 200 fire resist, you are going to have a 55% chance to resist the grenade. Again, I've tested it. Me and Minnow stood outside of Stormwind and in about 200 fire resist and started chucking nades at each other. Technically, we sat in like 190 resistance and chucked nades at each other, and we found that we had a 50% chance to resist. When we crunched the numbers, we were like, okay, so we got about a 45% chance to resist fire spells on average at 190. And there's an innate 10% chance to 5% chance to resist stuns. This lines up perfectly with our test results of 50%. Yada yada yada. Okay. I think that's it for this video. So I talked about, at least we covered some of the spells. We covered some of the resistances at the very end. Oh, no, I didn't talk about one of the Ret Paladins. You're going to be mad at me if I don't talk about this. So the last variant of Ret Paladin is the one that S-Fan is a huge fan of, the Deep Ret Paladin. And that's the Deep Ret Paladin that thinks he's a fucking warrior. That Paladin I cannot talk to you too terribly much about. You'd have to go watch S-Fan for that kind of stuff. That Paladin is really hard to gear. He's super painful. That's the Paladin that really needs Voonies, so I've heard, when you're gearing him. Very hard to gear, has a very interesting life cycle, really comes into his own when he gets access to Avengers gear. Your mana bar is complete trash. What is there to say about that Paladin? That Deep Ret Paladin is a Paladin that is pretending to be a Ret Reckoning Paladin, but is in every way, shape, or form inferior to a Ret Reckoning Paladin. I'm trying not to be disparaging here, but it's a challenge. Let's put it that way. And it's not a challenge because it's bad. It's a challenge because your mana bar is so low that you need to use a lot of bandages. You really need to know what the hell you were doing. You have some advantages over Ret Reckoning in that it's easier for you to close with the target or for pet and a bunch of things. It also does control Ret things. So basically it's a control Ret build, okay, that doesn't... But it's also it also uses time on target tactics. It's such a weird build. I don't know what to tell you. It pretends it's a warrior. It's a Deep Ret Paladin. Lol. And it shuns hybrid gear, but it also desperately wants hybrid gear. It's really fucking weird to describe. I don't even know how to think of it. The problem about how to think of it is it doesn't do anything that I didn't already tell you that the other paladins are doing, right? It stuns, it jousts with the target. Its voice is going. It looks at the RNG. It tries to pull the trigger on some offense. If it didn't like the RNG, it immediately goes for a heal. So it likes control, so it can heal itself. Sometimes it has heal in combat. Sometimes it doesn't have heal in combat. It doesn't do anything that I haven't already told you. It just... I don't think it's as good. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. Perfectly honestly, go watch SFan. He talks a lot about it. Maybe he'll make more sense on the subject. The talents don't change much at all either. It's the same talent tree. The only thing that changed is you're wearing strength, agility, stamina. Strength, agility, stamina. Strength, agility, stamina. So rather than strength, stamina, intellect, spell power, melee crit, we're going for strength, stamina, our strength, agility, stamina, if that makes sense. Not that we're shunning those items that I showed you before that had all the stats, because you definitely want some intellect on the build. But I guess you'd have a much higher critical strike chance, which is cool. And in theory, that's going to make your jousting better, which is also cool. But spell power is also doing wonders for you, right? Because again, spell power synergizes with all the CCing that you're doing. You need the CC to heal, and the CC is also doubling as these Judgment of Command extra bonus damage, which means spell power becomes really valuable because it's helping you to heal, and it's also helping you with your command damage. The spell power is really nice on Control Ret. This Paladin is using the exact same Control Ret stuff. It just has a higher critical strike chance, which means when it closes with the target and it finally hits, it jousts the target, rather than a 15% chance for things to go really, really good, there might be an 18% chance for things to go really, really good because you've got a higher critical strike chance. But you've sacrificed damage in the Judgment on Seal Command. Your heals are absolutely pitiful. Holy fuck. That is a discussion in and of itself. I do not... Yeah, don't do that. You'll like double holy light yourself, and you'll still have... you still won't be healed the full if you don't have at least 200 spell power. I'm not joking, so it's kind of a bit of a break point. And your mana bar is complete and utter dog shit. I'm talking like you've got like a 2,000 mana bar. Yeesh. So you need to be real damn good. You need to be like... Drakova has a lot of videos where he plays Ret Reckoning like this. Ret Reckoning does play like this a lot. Like it's like the Ret Reckoning life without reckoning is basically what Deep Ret is the best way to describe it. You're literally a Ret Reckoning paladin, but you don't have Ret Reckoning. But you don't have Reckoning. And because of that, life is just weird. Life is just really fucking weird for you. And the whole time you're like, please give me Avengers, please give me Avengers, please give me Avengers. And the whole reason why you want Avengers, believe it or not, is because it has spell power and all the stats that you really want. So if I go over here and I go, I'm about to log, yeah, that's what I thought. If I go over to the gear planner, guides, not guides, tools, gear planner, paladin, human. Okay, level 60? Nope. Boop. All right, let's find some Avengers. Avengers crown. Strength, agility, stamina, intellect, spirit, woo! And then it's got spell power, critical strike chance. Are you fucking kidding me? That's everything Deep Ret Paladin could ever ask for, right? So you got one Paladin who is perfectly happy with like Marsh, with field marshals. Notice there's no agility on field marshals. Marshals is like, strength, stamina, intellect, melee crit, spell power, MP5, right? That's Control Ret Paladin gear. Control Ret Paladin is like, give me some of that shit. Give me that mana bar. I like to heal. I like to do me some time on target when I'm done wearing down my opponent. If my jousting did not work, we're just going to sit on this motherfucker until he dies, time on target style. Like, that's how they do things. Okay? They are perfectly happy in this gear. Can't see me here, but I'm like flailing my arms around and... right? Perfectly happy in that gear. The ones that are pretending to be fucking warriors... basically, they love Avengers. Because Avengers is giving them the agility. Avengers is giving them some spell power that they desperately need to be able to heal themselves when they actually do heal themselves. The Spirit's nice, especially on them because they're not casting a lot of spells. But honestly, MP5 is better. And Control Control Ret wants the 3-piece bonus, so it wants a 3-piece PvP gear bonus, so it's perfectly happy not using an Avenger's Crown and instead using the Marshal's gear, right? Perfectly happy with that. But the Jousting Paladins really want they want the Avenger's gear because they're really all in on the agility, if that makes any sense. So again, it's a slight difference between the deep rep Paladin that I'm describing here, right, cannot really time on target at all to save their life. They can kind of do it, but they also can't do it at all. They kind of just run at you. They auto attack you. They hope for some good RNG. They have agility instead of intellect, so that they've increased the likelihood of their RNG going well for them on that hit. But they don't have any real sustain if things aren't going their way, unlike Control Ret. Control Ret is like, yeah, I'm going to beat the crap out of you. It's like, I'm going to stun you, I'm going to judge you, and then I'm going to heal. And then, oh, did you stun me and then run away? Okay, I'm just going to stun you again, catch back up to you again, smack you again. Look at my RNG. Oh, do I need to heal to full? Okay, I just heal to full. Look at my massive fucking mana bar. Look at my spell power that lets me top off. No problem. Look at all this CC that I continue to have to catch you with. I'm just waiting for RNG to go my way, but if it doesn't go my way, guess what? You're going to run out of the ability to get me the fuck off of you. I'm going to catch back up to you, and I'm just going to sit on your fucking ass at full life and beat the shit out of you. Which is why Control Ret is better than pretending to be a fucking warrior. I am not joking about this. So yeah. But you can do it if you want. The only thing to really say about, okay, so here's one place where Control Ret is worse that I can see, okay? If you have to deal with multiple targets, or you're in an environment where another Horde player can show up at any time and spoil your fun, there are pros and cons between Control Ret and between the other one, right? Okay, what are the pros, what are the cons? Well, the pro with the pretending to be a warrior deep ret paladin is that there's a higher probability that your joust will go your way and you can just kill somebody super quickly. Your time to kill will be higher. So rather than it taking 40 seconds to kill somebody, it'll take 30 seconds to kill somebody by comparison, okay? Control Ret by comparison has this, his advantage is he has this inevitability to him, where he's like, yeah, I'm trying to get good RNG on the joust, but if I don't get it, I'll just time on target you to death. But because he has a lower chance of getting good odds on his joust, that usually means he's taking that, rather than taking 30 seconds to kill, he's taking 40 seconds to kill, which can be bad because somebody else can show up and interfere with the party and save their friend, if that makes sense. The pro that Control Ret has, though, is that you're still full fucking life, you still have a massive goddamn mana bar, and you still have plenty of gadgets and gizmos and trinkets and things that are about to come off of cooldown for you to escape. So if somebody shows up and tries to crash your party, one of two things happens. Like, let's say it's the 30-second mark, you're about to kill this guy, all your stuff is on cooldown, but you've only got 20 seconds before it starts coming back off of cooldown, and somebody shows up to crash the party. I'm willing to bet money that you are still damn near full life. You still have plenty of tools in your toolkit. And we're talking like you still got bubble and shit, and I'm not joking, because you didn't have to use it to close or anything like that. If somebody shows up to the party, very often you can still 2v1 them. You just finish off this guy and you move on to the next. If the guy that you're attacking starts catching heals, you're gonna have to bail, right? You're gonna have to run away. But you're a Control Ret paladin, which means good luck fucking chasing you down, good luck hunting you down. You just heal, you just stun this guy, CC that guy, and you're gone. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. Control Ret is, in my opinion, a superior paladin to the deep ret one. It especially becomes absolutely fucking terrifying in the later stages of its life cycle. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. All right, so I went off on a massive PvP tangent, but that covers all the PvP specs in the game in case PvP is your thing, and you wanted that just magically added to the guide. My voice is going. I'm going to end the video here. I'll upload this one as well, and then tomorrow I'll do a video where I go through every single fucking spell in our damn spell book and talk at horrifying length about everything, and you'll begin to see all the little nuances of holy fuckery that is under the hood of Paladin and Classic World of Warcraft. Okay? Are we cool with that? Sweet. I want to go do other things with my life. I woke up at 10 a.m. It is now 1:30 p.m. and I would like to, I don't know, eat food or something. Fuck all you guys. Fuck cargos. I actually still love cargos. I actually don't believe cargos did anything wrong. I'm not going to lie. So there are only two possibilities with cargos, right? Either he's this devious, malicious guy, blah, 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 or he just feels really, really bad and really, really ashamed, and that's why he deleted all his stuff on his channel. I followed Cargos long enough to know that it's probably the latter. Because he often talks about, like, he came back from the military and he had, like, some anxiety and PTSD issues and stuff, and yada, yada, yada. And since I've suffered from that in my past, I can totally relate that he's not lying about what he was talking about. So, I wouldn't be surprised if he just deleted all his stuff in shame, kind of a thing, which I find funny. He shouldn't have done it, in my personal opinion. Like, I don't know all the details of what the hell's going on. So all I know at this point is basically it's like they were trying to sell leveling guides and speedrun leveling guides for, like, hardcore, for, like, real-world money. And I guess that's, like, against the terms of service or some shit like that in Blizzard. But also, I know Blizzard really doesn't enforce that kind of crap, because who the fuck's going to enforce kind of... Like, think of it this way, right? Like, I make a YouTube video. I make a guide on how to level. I monetize the thing. YouTube will make money off of my leveling guide. I'll make money off of my leveling guide. Mind you, I don't monetize, so whatever, I don't give a shit. But Blizzard never shuts that down. And is that against the terms of service? Like, I'm really confused. Honestly, it's like free advertisement for them. Why the fuck would they shut it down? Hell, they probably use these guys. Goddamn. Yeah, so I don't really know what to think about it. I just think it's dumb. And I think Cargo should come back, to be perfectly honest with you. But he's not here, and we don't have access to his guides, so you're stuck with me until then. So F all of you, and Deus Volt.